we'll go ahead and, yeah, take it away, Annie.
All right.
Or you won't.
I have myself, Annie Cathy, Emmy Bristow, Kelly McGuire, Kyla Leonards, Melissa Fisher, Martin Kidston, and MCAT. In 206, I can see Juanita Vero, Chris Lounsbury, and there's somebody behind the flowers.
Yeah, Brian West.
Dave Fire. And then who's off to the other side?
Brian West, Annie.
Thank you, Brian West. Anybody else?
No.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, my screen is being super slow. Our first
Public comment.
Oh, sorry. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? And we don't have any other people other than myself. Oh, and then Chet just joined.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you have one item on the consent agenda.
Well, Jave, how are you feeling about? Goodness, it's not
It's the Vicaria Trauma Response Initiative contract.
the Vitry
Yeah.
project.
Yes, I will move that we adopt item 1, the only item on the consent agenda.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. And on to our action item. It's the sign agreement with Aurelia Electricorn. And is Steve on? Or someone speaking for Steve?
Sorry, this item was postponed.
Oh, that's the item. I'm sorry. Sorry. I thought item 2. Sorry. Okay, Kelly McGuire.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, sorry. Kelly.
Well, good morning, commissioners. This is a subrecipient agreement for our rural grant award from the Office on Violence Against Women. This subrecipient agreement just took a little longer because when we wrote the grant, YWCA had a different level of capacity for guts than they did when we actually received the grant. So we had to work a little bit to figure out how to make this doable for them. But the agreement is for around $80,000. I don't have it in front of me. It pays for a half-time shelter advocate at the YWCA. That's to help ensure that YWCA has capacity to serve rural victims of violence, not just folks in Missoula. And the other part of the agreement is to fund GUTS, and that will help them expand GUTS groups into rural communities around Missoula and have that girls empowerment programming available. It's a CDC recommended strategy for preventing sexual violence. So that's how we're able to use this grant to fund that work. And they'll have a group in our Lee that's already started, and then they're going to pick an additional rural site. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about the agreement.
Yeah, I just met some AmeriCorps members yesterday, or we're swearing them in, and a few of them were working with GUTS. So that's just excited. It's a great program.
Oh, that's great.
So, and Commissioner Slotnick just showed up, and Andrew Chorney is in here too. Well.
I would move that we approve and sign the subrecipient agreement.
Just
No, never, over my dead body. Guts is wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion between about YWCA? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
And the letter?
Yeah, I think Chet is on probably.
Okay.
Good morning, commissioners. Good to see you all. Chet Krauser, Director of Community and Planning Services. So this is a letter to the Forest Service. It's the scoping phase of their Sorrel Springs hazard fuel reduction project. This is out in the Frenchtown area. It's a good neighbor project, or not a good neighbor. Yeah, good neighbor authority project. So that means that they'll be working with the DNRC to complete some of this work, but it is a Forest Service parcel. we have pulled together a letter that's similar to some of those that we have submitted in previous scoping for projects like this. The project is intended to both improve forest health conditions, but also reduce the potential impact to homes that are within the proximity of the project. They've identified roughly, I think, a few more than 100 homes that are kind of within about a half mile of the project area. And so what we're pointing out is what we've submitted previously, in that reducing the fuels and doing thinning projects, et cetera, are not necessarily indicative of protection of structures to the extent that they would burn down in the event of a wildfire event where embers are showering homes, and lack of focus on home ignition zone is then contributing to the ignition of structures and even conflagration of neighborhoods, if that were to be the case, where you'd have one structure igniting another. And so this is somewhat familiar to you. We do have one edit that Dave had brought forward that basically points out what happened in Denton, Montana, if you remember that situation, where basically home ignition zone was what it created this sort of structure ignition problem in the community of Denton, which is not surrounded by forest. It's out in the grasslands, and yet still burned quite a few structures. And we even heard from folks in a meeting in Helena recently from out in the Denton area, some county commissioners who had talked exactly about ignition of structures being related to that treatment of home ignition zone, and really reinforce this point. So Dave added that one line. Otherwise, the letter in the packet is the rest of the content. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah,
No,
I think,
it's good. Good edit.
yeah.
No. Good
All
comments.
right.
Thanks, Jed. Thanks, Jed.
Thanks.
The end of our agenda today.
Okay.
Well played, Slotnick.
So, yeah.
Okay, have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.